Aloha, beautiful souls. It's been a minute. There's been a lot going on here in Hawaii, and going through my own heartbreak and processing grief. And that's why I've been silent. And this video is not about that topic. This video is inspired by a woman that I met last night. Her name is Joy, and I was walking Karma along the beach, watching sunset last night, and she stopped me and we ended up talking for a while. And one thing that I really love, truly love about my life is that freedom and having karma. So I'm always going out every day and just taking her to a new park or somewhere to walk her. And I end up meeting people and having these meaningful heart-to-heart conversations. And they always say, oh, this was meant to be. And I always know that it's divine intervention. That's how spirit works. And she ended up purchasing both of my books. I had them in my car. I always keep a spare set just in case I meet somebody. And yeah, so, she's carrying a lot of weight and a lot of burdens. And it was just beautiful to see her beginning to awaken and start thinking about, like, wow, I need to help myself, because she's that typical mother woman that, always gives and caretakes for everybody else until she's depleted, right? I did the same thing. Like, we all guilty of the same thing. And we think like that's like this noble thing. And maybe we don't think that, but we do it because that's who we are, and we want to help and we want to give. And I don't judge anybody for that, because that's what I'm guilty of too. But also what I've learned is that we must be a mother to ourselves as well. And it's just as important that we mother ourselves just as we're mothering everyone else. Because if we forget about ourselves and we just let ourselves get drained and exhausted, we're going to break down, and then we're not going to be good for anyone else. Because she asked me, like, how do I start healing, and how do I start giving back to myself? And I just said to her, I said, well, logically, I mean, just what I just said, logically, if you continue to give and give and give and give and give, and you become depleted and exhausted and drained, you're going to break down and then maybe get sick, or like whatever. You're not going to have the energy to help other people. So just logically, it makes sense that you need to take care of yourself just so you can be strong enough to be there and help other people. Also, I'm really a visual person, and I couldn't unfortunately, I didn't have, like, it was nighttime, and I didn't have like a pad and paper to start drawing for her, but I was explaining it to her in a way that I think she received it. And I learned this long time ago through one of my teachers, and it was all about, like, so each one of us has a reserve tank. So if we're talking about, like, on terms of like energy, so we have like this reserve tank that we only go into in times of like major crisis, like what the people are going through in Maui now. But let me bring it back and just say, like, okay, like on an everyday level, like, crisis is things like major life events. Okay, so maybe you have to move, that's a major life event. Maybe you're going through a separation or a divorce, major life event. Maybe you're having a child, or a baby, or adopting a child. Major life events. And this is not like the everyday today stuff that we have to deal with. This is like major life events. That's what our reserve tank is designed to be there for. And then we have another tank. It's our small tank, our little daily tank that we're supposed to fill daily. And that's what we use on a daily basis. Okay, so like every day there's stress in our life, right? Just because the way life is right now. You could be going through family stress, financial stress, living arrangement stress. There's just so many different stresses now in our life. So, and just, hey, just like getting in your car and driving around can be very stressful because everybody's going through all these things and not everybody's able to handle it. So people are feeding off each other's energy, and like just living and just going out into the world can be a stressful event, right? So if we're not mindful to fill up our little tank every day, to water our spiritual garden and use, so like at the end of it, we filled up our little tank, and by the end of the day, okay, we've depleted that little tank because just life, daily life, is stressing us out. What happens is if we don't water our spiritual garden and fill up our little tank every day, we go into our reserve tank, our big tank that's designed to be a backup to use for major life crisis. So we're constantly going into our reserve tank, and what happens is over time, the reserve is now drained and depleted. And what happens? We're drained and depleted, and then what happens? We experience things like exhaustion, fatigue, which could lead to autoimmune diseases or other illnesses. So many things. It's just a cascade of damaging ill effects on our body, on our mental body, on our emotional body, on our physical body when we don't fill up our little tank every day. And when I explained this to her, she got it. She's like, oh, that makes so much sense. So she hasn't been filling up her little tank because she's just giving. And now she's in her reserve tank and she's getting depleted. And she said, yeah, I feel exhausted and drained. And yeah, like I get that. We have to take the time for ourselves. And it's crucial. We need to be a mother to ourselves and love ourselves because we are just as important and worthy as everyone else in our life that we're helping. And when you look at it that way, you know, hopefully that will spark something you will inspire you to take care of yourself. And also what I wanted to say was because I was guilty of this, like being that savior archetype, like thinking like I'm the savior and I'm going to help everybody else but ignore myself, is not actually something that is in the eyes of the Almighty, in the eyes of the Creator, in your own God, higher self eyes, is not a noble cause, because what it's doing is it's putting yourself as I'm not worthy to be receiving this love and care, but I'm going to sacrifice myself for these people. That's not a worthy cause. That's not being love. And love is your divine birthright. That is who you are. And I think a lot of us fall into this trap of like trying to help and save everybody else, but just ignoring ourselves. That is also not the highest road to take. So I'm sharing with you things that I've had to learn personally in my own life and experience firsthand. And when you find that balance in your life, and that's not to say, okay, now I'm going to ignore all these people. No, because they could be our children, you know, they could be our parents, they could be people or beings, our furry four-legged friends that we love and cherish, and we're not just going to all of a sudden ignore them, but we have to give ourselves a piece of that pie. You know, we have to fill up our little tank every day and water our own spiritual garden and mother ourselves, so then we can give from our overflow versus giving from our depletion. So do you understand? So be the mother to yourself. Love yourself. That is your divinity. Love is God, and God is who you are, and God and love is your divine birthright. So Let's take a minute to soak that in, to absorb that, and let's just breathe that into our heart so it can be assimilated and integrated into our being physically, mentally, and emotionally and spiritually. Love is who you are, and it is your birthright to love yourself, to be worthy of receiving love, and to give back to yourself. You are worthy, you deserve it, you need it. Mother and love yourself just as much as you do for others. I'm feeling this a lot today. And I hope you could feel me and feel my energy and feel my heart. And I apologize if I'm repeating myself over and over again, but I feel like this is a really important message. And there's more to come. Aloha.
The soul fire in me, I give to you. Aho. To learn more about my offerings, visit my website at igniteyoursoulfire.com. Please subscribe to my channel and comment below, my soul family. Thank you for being here on our precious planet Gaia at this time. Your light matters. You matter. You make a difference in the world by just being you. Ahuiho. Until our hearts meet again. You are loved.